People are always watching, even when they pretend not to be. In public spaces, judgment travels faster than words, and respect is often decided before a conversation even begins. A Stoic understands this, not because he seeks approval, but because he values self-mastery. The Stoic does not perform for attention, he performs discipline for himself. Public behavior is not about impressing others, it is about revealing who you are when nothing is forcing you to be good. A Stoic never seeks validation in public. He does not scan faces for approval, nor does he adjust his personality to be liked. Approval is unstable, unreliable, and outside his control. The Stoic knows that when you chase validation, you surrender power. When someone laughs too loudly for attention, agrees too quickly to avoid rejection, or exaggerates stories to feel important, observers sense insecurity instantly. Respect fades when desperation appears. The Stoic remains composed because he has already approved himself through discipline, effort, and integrity. A Stoic never reacts emotionally in public. He understands that reactions are invitations for others to control him. Anger, visible frustration, public arguments, and emotional outbursts reveal inner weakness, not strength. When provoked, the Stoic pauses. He remembers that no insult can touch his character unless he allows it. People notice the one who stays calm while others lose control. Silence in the face of provocation speaks louder than any clever response. A Stoic never complains publicly. Complaints advertise helplessness. They announce to the world that circumstances are winning. Whether it is the weather, traffic, money, work, or people, public complaining lowers status instantly. The Stoic accepts reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be. He focuses on action, not grievance. When others complain, he listens without joining. When faced with hardship, he adapts quietly. This restraint creates an aura of strength that people instinctively respect. A Stoic never overshares personal struggles in public. Vulnerability has its place, but public spaces are not therapy rooms. The Stoic understands that revealing wounds to those who did not earn trust often leads to judgment, gossip, or exploitation. He chooses carefully who hears his struggles. In public, he remains dignified, not because he lacks emotion, but because he honors it. Silence protects power. Mystery protects respect. A Stoic never boasts in public. Achievement does not need advertisement. The loudest brags often come from the weakest foundations. When someone constantly reminds others of their success, wealth, or intelligence, observers sense insecurity beneath the noise. The Stoic lets results speak. He allows others to discover his strength rather than be forced to acknowledge it. True confidence is quiet. It does not interrupt conversations to prove itself. A Stoic never humiliates others publicly. Power that needs to crush others to feel tall is fragile. Mockery, sarcasm, public shaming, and dominance games may win attention, but they destroy long-term respect. The Stoic understands that character is revealed in how one treats those who cannot fight back. He corrects privately, not publicly. He remains firm without cruelty. People trust those who are strong yet fair. A Stoic never chases attention in public. He does not need to be the loudest, the funniest, or the most dramatic person in the room. Attention-seeking behavior exposes a hunger that can never be satisfied. The Stoic is comfortable being unnoticed. Ironically, this restraint often draws attention naturally. People are drawn to calm energy, to someone who does not compete for the spotlight yet commands presence simply by existing. A Stoic never abandons discipline in public. He does not loosen his values because no one is watching, because someone is always watching, including himself. How he speaks to waiters, how he stands in line, how he handles inconvenience, how he treats strangers. These moments define him more than grand speeches ever could. The Stoic understands that character is not situational. It is consistent. The Stoic never forgets that reputation is built quietly and destroyed loudly. He knows that one careless moment in public can erase years of discipline. That awareness does not make him anxious. It makes him intentional. He walks slower, speaks less, listens more. He understands that restraint is not weakness. It is the highest form of control. In a world addicted to expression, the Stoic chooses containment. In a culture obsessed with being seen, he focuses on being solid. While others leak their emotions, frustrations, and insecurities into the public space, the Stoic remains whole. This does not make him cold. It makes him formidable. People may not understand Stoicism, but they feel it. They feel it when someone does not react. They feel it when someone does not complain. They feel it when someone does not chase approval. And even if they cannot explain it, they respect it. A Stoic understands that public space is a mirror. It reflects not who you claim to be, but who you actually are when comfort disappears. Crowds reveal impatience. Noise reveals ego. Pressure reveals character. This is why the Stoic treats public life as training, not as a stage. Every interaction becomes practice in restraint, awareness, and choice. The Stoic never rushes to defend his image in public. When misunderstood, he does not panic. When falsely judged, he does not scramble to correct every perception. He knows that reputation follows consistency, not explanation. Those who are constantly clarifying themselves appear uncertain. The Stoic lets time speak. He understands that truth has weight, and weight takes time to settle. The Stoic never mirrors chaos. In public, emotions spread like fire. One angry voice invites another. One anxious reaction multiplies tension. The Stoic refuses to participate. He remains steady not to appear superior, but because he knows emotional contagion is dangerous. When others are loud, he lowers his voice. When others rush, he slows down. This contrast creates authority without effort. The Stoic never performs morality for applause. He does not display kindness to be seen as kind, nor humility to be praised as humble. Virtue performed for attention is no longer virtue. It is negotiation. The Stoic helps quietly, gives privately, and walks away without waiting for recognition. People may never know what he did, and that is exactly why it mattered. The Stoic never allows discomfort to dictate his behavior. Long lines, rude strangers, public mistakes, unexpected delays. These moments expose most people. They sigh loudly, roll their eyes, mutter insults, or collapse into irritation. The Stoic notices the discomfort and then releases it. He remembers that suffering is not caused by events, but by resistance to them. The Stoic never treats strangers as disposable. Public life is filled with people we may never see again, which tempts many to drop basic decency. The Stoic does the opposite. He is polite when it is inconvenient, respectful when it is unnecessary, and patient when there is no reward. This consistency is rare, and rarity creates presence. The Stoic never confuses confidence with dominance. In public, he does not interrupt to assert intelligence, nor does he overpower conversations to establish rank. He listens fully. He speaks when his words add weight, not noise. When he disagrees, he does so calmly, without the need to win. Those who seek dominance want control over others. The Stoic seeks control over himself. The Stoic never becomes familiar too quickly. Over-familiarity in public weakens boundaries. He understands that respect requires space. He does not overshare jokes, personal stories, or opinions with everyone he meets. He allows people to earn access to his inner world. This measured distance protects clarity and prevents regret. The Stoic never forgets that dignity is felt before it is understood. People may not remember your words, but they will remember how you carried yourself. Your posture, your tone, your silence, these speak long before language does. The Stoic moves with intention. He does not fidget with insecurity or shrink under attention. He stands comfortably in his own presence. The Stoic never lets public success inflate him or public failure shrink him. Applause does not make him louder. Criticism does not make him smaller. He remains centered because his worth is not crowdsourced. When praised, he accepts it lightly. When ignored, he remains unchanged. Stability becomes his signature. The Stoic never forgets that self-respect is the root of public respect. You cannot demand it, negotiate it, or fake it. It emerges naturally when behavior aligns with values, when words match actions, when reactions match principles. This alignment is visible, even to strangers. In a world where people rush to be seen, the Stoic chooses to be solid. Where others broadcast their inner chaos, he guards his inner order. Where attention is currency, he spends discipline instead. And this is why, without trying, without forcing, without performing, people notice him. Not because he demanded attention, not because he chased influence, but because control is magnetic. A Stoic recognizes that most people reveal themselves unintentionally in public. They reveal impatience through body language, insecurity through over-explaining, arrogance through interruption, and fear through avoidance. The Stoic watches without judgment. Observation sharpens restraint. He learns more by staying silent than others learn by speaking endlessly. The Stoic never rushes to fill silence. Silence in public unsettles people because it forces them to confront themselves. Many speak simply to escape it. The Stoic is comfortable there. He allows pauses to exist. He allows conversations to breathe. This calm makes his words carry more weight when he finally speaks. The Stoic never advertises busyness. He does not complain about how overwhelmed he is or how little time he has. Public declarations of exhaustion are often disguised cries for importance. The Stoic works quietly. He understands that discipline does not announce itself. It shows up consistently without explanation. The Stoic never allows convenience to erode standards. When no one is watching, most people loosen their values. In public, they justify cutting corners, bending rules, or acting carelessly because it seems harmless. The Stoic remains precise. He knows that character weakens slowly, then collapses suddenly. The Stoic never treats public mistakes as humiliation. When he slips, mispronounces a word, drops something, or faces mild embarrassment, he does not spiral. He corrects it calmly and moves on. Overreaction magnifies errors. Composure minimizes them. People respect those who recover quickly without self-pity. The Stoic never mocks discipline. He does not scoff at routines, order, or self-control to appear relaxed or modern. He understands that self-mastery is not outdated. It is rare. In public, he does not apologize for being disciplined. He also does not preach it. He simply embodies it. The Stoic never mistakes visibility for importance. Being seen does not equal being valuable. Speaking does not equal leading. Popularity does not equal respect. The Stoic avoids the trap of performing wisdom instead of living it. He values depth over reach, substance over applause. The Stoic never competes in trivial hierarchies. Public spaces are filled with subtle status games: who speaks first, who interrupts, who dominates attention, who appears smartest. The Stoic steps outside these games. By refusing to compete, he quietly wins. Freedom from comparison is power. The Stoic never allows his mood to be dictated by strangers. A rude comment, a careless glance, or a dismissive tone does not alter his internal state. He understands that handing emotional control to strangers is self-betrayal. His calm is not fragile. It is guarded. The Stoic never forgets that restraint is a form of strength most people never develop. Anyone can react. Anyone can speak. Anyone can complain. Few can pause. Fewer can choose. And almost no one can remain composed under pressure. This rarity is why Stoic presence feels heavy in a room. The Stoic never tries to appear stoic. He does not adopt a cold mask or forced seriousness. Stoicism is not stiffness, it is clarity. He laughs when appropriate, engages when useful, and withdraws when necessary. Balance, not extremity, defines him. The Stoic never lets public life dilute private standards. Who he is alone matches who he is among others. This alignment removes anxiety. There is no performance to maintain, no image to protect. Authentic discipline is effortless because it does not switch on and off. And over time, something interesting happens. People begin to watch the Stoic more closely, not because he demanded attention, but because he never needed it. Not because he dominated space, but because he was unmovable within it. His calm becomes a reference point. His silence becomes a signal. In moments of tension, others look to him. In moments of uncertainty, they wait for his response. Authority forms not through assertion, but through consistency. Because the world is loud, a Stoic understands that public life constantly tests the illusion of control. Schedules collapse, people disappoint, plans change without permission, and most react as if reality has betrayed them. The Stoic does not. He expects friction. He prepares for it mentally. When disruption arrives, it does not shock him. It simply confirms what he already accepted. The Stoic never negotiates with his impulses in public. Hunger, fatigue, boredom, and irritation attempt to take command, but he does not hand over the reins. He observes the impulse without obeying it. This distance between feeling and action is where freedom lives. Others live inside their impulses. The Stoic stands above them. The Stoic never allows sarcasm to become a shield. Many use humor in public to hide insecurity or avoid seriousness. The Stoic appreciates wit but does not weaponize it. He speaks plainly. He understands that clarity is stronger than cleverness, and sincerity is stronger than performance. The Stoic never seeks to be understood by everyone. He accepts that some will misread his silence as arrogance, his restraint as coldness, his independence as distance. He allows these interpretations to exist without correction. Chasing universal understanding is exhausting and impossible. The Stoic conserves energy. The Stoic never treats time casually. In public, he does not linger aimlessly or waste moments scrolling to escape presence. He understands that time spent inattentive is time lost twice. Even waiting becomes training. Stillness becomes awareness. Nothing is empty when attention is disciplined. The Stoic never lowers his standards to avoid discomfort. He does not laugh at jokes that violate his values. And he does not agree to ideas he does not respect. He does not follow crowds simply to belong. Loneliness is preferable to self-betrayal. This choice, repeated quietly, builds unshakable identity. The Stoic never dramatizes sacrifice. Discipline costs comfort, popularity, and ease. He pays the price silently. Public complaints about self-improvement undermine the very improvement they seek. The Stoic understands that hardship is not a story to tell, it is a path to walk. The Stoic never forgets that calm is contagious. Just as panic spreads, so does steadiness. In tense public situations, his composed presence lowers the temperature of the room. He does not command calm, he models it. This influence is subtle, but it is real. The Stoic never allows pride to disguise itself as independence. He accepts help when needed without shame, and he offers help without superiority. True self-mastery includes humility. Dependence on no one is not strength. Dependence on principles is. The Stoic never confuses restraint with suppression. He does not bury emotion until it rots. He processes it privately, thoughtfully, and fully. Public composure is not denial. It is timing. He chooses the right place, the right moment, and the right audience for depth. The Stoic never forgets that every public moment contributes to an internal reputation. Even when no one remembers his actions, he remembers. This internal witness shapes future behavior more than any external reward ever could. Living with self-respect becomes addictive. And slowly, almost invisibly, a pattern forms. While others exhaust themselves explaining, reacting, proving, and defending, the Stoic moves forward untouched. He spends less energy and gains more clarity. He speaks less and is heard more. He does nothing to appear powerful, yet power gathers around him. Because discipline accumulates, because restraint compounds, because character once built does not ask permission to be respected. And in a world that exposes everything, a Stoic understands that most people fear being alone with their thoughts, especially in public. Phones become shields, noise becomes anesthesia, distraction becomes survival. The Stoic does not flee inward silence, he welcomes it. He stands, sits, or walks without needing to escape himself. This alone sets him apart in a world constantly running from awareness. The Stoic never allows public pressure to rush his decisions. Crowds move fast, opinions change hourly. Urgency is manufactured everywhere. He resists the pull. He knows that speed is often the enemy of wisdom. When everyone pushes for immediate answers, he pauses. When others demand certainty, he chooses accuracy. His slowness is intentional, not hesitant. The Stoic never borrows outrage. Many people adopt emotions simply because others around them are emotional. Anger becomes fashionable. Offense becomes identity. The Stoic refuses to rent his nervous system to the crowd. He evaluates events through reason, not volume. What does not threaten his values does not disturb his peace. The Stoic never mistakes exposure for courage. Saying everything is not bravery. Revealing nothing is not strength either. He chooses precision. He reveals only what serves truth, growth, or necessity. Oversharing dilutes meaning. Guarded speech preserves it. The Stoic never treats boredom as an enemy. In public spaces, boredom reveals impatience with reality as it is. The Stoic sees boredom as resistance to the present moment. Instead of fighting it, he sharpens attention. What others find dull, he studies. What others rush through, he observes carefully. The Stoic never allows admiration to soften his discipline. When praised publicly, he does not loosen standards or relax effort. Compliments are pleasant but dangerous. They tempt complacency. The Stoic acknowledges praise and returns immediately to practice. He knows yesterday's approval does not guarantee tomorrow's character. The Stoic never humiliates himself to be accepted. He does not betray values for laughter, approval, or belonging. He understands that once self-respect is traded away publicly, it is difficult to reclaim privately. Belonging that requires self-erasure is not belonging at all. The Stoic never confuses emotional numbness with control. He feels fully. He simply does not unload those feelings onto unsuspecting strangers. Public composure is not emptiness, it is containment. Like fire in a furnace, emotion becomes power when directed, not scattered. The Stoic never allows routine to become unconscious. Even familiar public spaces are approached with awareness. Repetition does not excuse negligence. Small behaviors repeated daily shape identity more than rare moments of intensity. The Stoic polishes the ordinary. The Stoic never seeks to intimidate. True strength does not threaten, it reassures. His presence is firm but not aggressive, calm but not passive, calm but not passive. People feel safe around those who are in control of themselves. Safety builds trust. Trust builds influence. The Stoic never forgets that public life is temporary, but character is permanent. Crowds dissolve, opinions fade, witnesses disappear, but habits remain. Every choice becomes training for the next. Nothing is wasted. Over time, something subtle but undeniable occurs. While others grow louder to be noticed, the Stoic grows quieter and more centered. While others chase relevance, he builds substance. While others perform identity, he lives it. And people notice, not immediately, not loudly, but inevitably, because stillness stands out in chaos, because discipline radiates without effort, because self-mastery cannot be hidden forever. In the end, the Stoic does not control how he is perceived, he controls how he behaves. Food and behavior, repeated long enough, becomes destiny. A Stoic understands that public life tempts people to live outward instead of inward. Opinions become louder than principles. Appearances become more important than alignment. The Stoic resists this pull. He knows that when life is lived for an audience, the self becomes fragmented. Integrity requires privacy of intention, even when actions are visible. The Stoic never lets embarrassment define him. Public missteps happen to everyone. A word comes out wrong. A plan fails. An awkward moment lingers. Most people replay these moments endlessly, shrinking under imagined judgment. The Stoic releases them immediately. He understands that people are far more absorbed in themselves than in him. He moves forward without carrying unnecessary weight. The Stoic never seeks comfort in conformity. Public agreement feels safe, but safety can erode truth. He does not nod along to ideas he finds hollow or harmful. He also does not provoke for attention. He simply maintains his position quietly. Standing alone does not frighten him. Losing himself would. The Stoic never allows possessions to speak for him. In public, many display status through clothing, gadgets, and symbols. The Stoic chooses simplicity, not out of rejection of material things, but out of independence from them. What he owns does not own his identity. The Stoic never confuses courtesy with weakness. Politeness is often mistaken for submission in a loud world. The Stoic remains respectful even when disrespected. He understands that self-control is not passive, it is deliberate strength. He can be firm without being hostile, decisive without being cruel. The Stoic never lets public success rewrite his self-image. Attention can distort perception. When others begin to look up to him, he does not begin to look down on them. He remembers the effort behind every result. Humility preserves clarity. Without it, discipline rots into ego. The Stoic never forgets that calm must be renewed daily. It is not a permanent state granted once and kept forever. Each public encounter is a new test. Each reaction is a new choice. Mastery is maintained, not achieved. The Stoic never treats presence as accidental. How he enters a room, how he exits, how he listens, how he waits, these are conscious acts. He does not drift through spaces. He inhabits them fully, without tension, without urgency. The Stoic never allows resentment to collect quietly. Public politeness paired with private bitterness is a common trap. He addresses grievances internally through reflection, not rehearsal. He releases what cannot be changed. He acts where action is possible. This prevents decay of character. The Stoic never underestimates the power of example. He knows that people learn more from what he tolerates than from what he says. His consistency teaches silently. His restraint sets a standard without instruction. And so while others seek control through volume, speed, and force, the Stoic builds it through patience, repetition, and clarity. His influence grows slowly, like something rooted deep enough to survive storms. Because the Stoic does not borrow strength from circumstance, he generates it internally. Because he does not depend on the crowd, he stands complete without it. And that is why even in the middle of noise, motion, and distraction, his presence feels still. nay, still. And stillness when everything else is moving. A Stoic understands that public life constantly invites comparison. Who is ahead? Who is behind? Who is admired? Who is ignored? Most people measure themselves reflexively, almost unconsciously. The Stoic steps away from this habit. Comparison steals focus and replaces growth with envy or pride. He measures himself only against his past discipline. The Stoic never allows impatience to disguise itself as urgency. In public, impatience leaks through tapping fingers, sharp tones, restless movement. He notices these signals in himself and corrects them. Calm is not passive waiting. It is deliberate control over time and attention. The Stoic never turns small inconveniences into personal insults. Delays, mistakes, misunderstandings, he does not take them personally. The world is not conspiring against him. This simple realization removes enormous friction from public life. The Stoic never over-identifies with roles. Titles, positions, social labels can inflate or shrink the ego depending on circumstance. In public, he remembers that roles are temporary. Character is not. When status is removed, he remains intact. The Stoic never allows curiosity to turn into judgment. He observes people closely, but he does not rush to condemn. Judgment hardens the mind and narrows understanding. Observation sharpens awareness without distortion. This neutrality keeps him flexible and clear. The Stoic never confuses movement with progress. Busy public spaces reward visible activity, not meaningful direction. He moves with purpose, not noise. When he stops, it is intentional. When he advances, it is deliberate. The Stoic never lets public praise rewrite private standards. Compliments can quietly lower effort by convincing someone they have arrived. The Stoic treats praise as weather, pleasant, but irrelevant to direction. Discipline continues unchanged. The Stoic never allows irritation to become identity. A bad day does not become a bad self. A tense moment does not become a tense character. He isolates events instead of merging with them. This separation preserves balance. The Stoic never forces presence. He does not try to look calm, powerful, or mysterious. Any attempt to appear something creates strain. True presence is relaxed alignment. When nothing is being projected, something real is felt. The Stoic never forgets that restraint builds momentum. Every moment he chooses not to react strengthens the next choice. Self-control compounds quietly. Like interest, no one sees growing until it is undeniable. The Stoic never seeks to dominate space. He does not need to spread out, interrupt, or command attention physically. He occupies only what he needs. This economy of movement signals confidence without aggression. The Stoic never allows public tension to follow him home. He closes the moment when it ends. Carrying unresolved emotion forward poisons the next interaction. Release is a discipline, not avoidance. And gradually, almost invisibly, the Stoic becomes a reference point. Others measure situations against his calm. They notice when he does not react. They remember when he does not complain. They trust his steadiness without knowing why. Because while others live publicly and think privately, the Stoic thinks deeply and lives cleanly. Because while others react first and reflect later, the Stoic reflects first and reacts rarely. And in a world that rewards noise, the one who chooses control, a Stoic understands that public moments are fleeting, but habits formed within them are permanent. What feels insignificant today becomes instinct tomorrow. The way one handles small annoyances trains the nervous system for larger trials. This is why the Stoic treats minor public challenges seriously without dramatizing them. He knows that strength is built in ordinary moments, not extraordinary ones. The Stoic never lets fear of judgment dictate his posture. He does not shrink to avoid attention, nor does he expand to demand it. He stands naturally, grounded, unbothered by eyes that may or may not be watching. Fear dissolves when behavior aligns with values. There is nothing to hide when nothing is compromised. The Stoic never assumes hostility where there is only indifference. Many people move through public spaces carrying imagined enemies in their minds. The Stoic releases this burden. He understands that most people are absorbed in their own concerns. This realization frees him from unnecessary tension. The Stoic never mistakes restraint for invisibility. He may speak less, but when he speaks, his words land. He may move quietly, but his presence is registered. Impact is not measured by frequency, but by precision. The Stoic never relies on routines to avoid thought. Discipline without awareness becomes habit without meaning. Even familiar public actions are done consciously. Repetition sharpens focus instead of dulling it. The Stoic never lets discomfort turn into bitterness. Standing in heat, waiting in silence, enduring inconvenience, these are not punishments. They are reminders that comfort is not a requirement for dignity. He remains composed regardless of conditions. The Stoic never treats strangers as obstacles. Everyone carries unseen burdens. This awareness softens his reactions without weakening his boundaries. Compassion and firmness coexist within him without conflict. The Stoic never confuses seriousness with heaviness. His calm is light, not tense. He does not carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. He carries only what is his to carry: intention, effort, and response. The Stoic never allows pride to masquerade as self-respect. He does not refuse courtesy to appear independent. Accepting help does not diminish him. Gratitude strengthens character when ego steps aside. The Stoic never forgets that attention is a limited resource. He does not scatter it across trivial matters. What he attends to grows. What he ignores fades. This selective focus gives his presence depth. The Stoic never rehearses arguments in his head while standing among others. Mental conflict poisons the present moment. He resolves matters internally or releases them entirely. Peace is protected intentionally. The Stoic never lets public chaos fracture his internal order. Noise does not enter him unless invited. Confusion does not spread unless accepted. He remains internally organized even when everything outside is not. And slowly, as days turn into months, something undeniable takes shape. His reactions shorten. His awareness sharpens. His presence steadies. Without effort, he becomes less affected and more effective. Because discipline practiced publicly becomes instinct privately. Because restraint chosen repeatedly becomes identity. Because the one who governs himself does not need to govern others. And that is why, even without trying, even without speaking, a Stoic understands that public environments expose attachment. Attachment to comfort, attachment to being right, attachment to being respected instantly. When any of these are threatened, most people react. The Stoic notices the attachment and loosens it. Freedom begins the moment nothing external is required to feel whole. The Stoic never allows irritation to linger in his body. Tight shoulders, shallow breath, clenched jaw, these are signals, not identities. He releases tension deliberately. Control of the body reinforces control of the mind. Calm is practiced physically before it is felt mentally. The Stoic never mistakes politeness for performance. He is courteous even when no reward follows, even when it costs him time, even when it goes unnoticed. Courtesy is not strategy for him. It is alignment with principle. The Stoic never lets public disagreement become personal warfare. He separates ideas from identity. When challenged, he listens fully. If correction is needed, he offers it without venom. If silence is wiser, he chooses it without resentment. Winning arguments has never been his goal. Preserving clarity has. The Stoic never allows familiarity to erode respect for himself. Comfort does not invite carelessness. Jokes do not excuse boundary crossing. He remains relaxed but intact. Others sense this line instinctively and rarely cross it twice. The Stoic never seeks revenge through subtle behavior. Passive aggression, coldness, or calculated withdrawal are still reactions. He chooses clean responses. Either he addresses an issue directly or he releases it entirely. Lingering hostility poisons the one who carries it. The Stoic never treats public kindness as weakness in disguise. Kindness is chosen strength, it is restraint applied outward. When he is generous, it is intentional. When he is firm, it is clean. There is no confusion between the two. The Stoic never allows admiration to become dependency. Being respected feels good, but relying on it is dangerous. He does not adjust himself to maintain applause. He remains steady even if approval fades. Identity anchored externally is easily shaken. The Stoic never forgets that influence is not commanded. It is granted. People grant influence to those who remain composed under pressure, fair under stress, and consistent over time. This cannot be rushed. It must be earned silently. The Stoic never rushes to label himself enlightened, disciplined, or superior. Labels freeze growth. He remains a student in public and private. Confidence without curiosity decays into arrogance. The Stoic never underestimates the cost of small lapses. One careless reaction invites another. One excuse weakens the next standard. He guards the small things because they guard the large ones. And so without spectacle, without speeches, without declarations, the Stoic becomes difficult to disturb. Public chaos brushes past him without entering. Noise moves around him, not through him, not through him. He does not harden, he clarifies. Because the world pressures people to leak themselves everywhere, and the Stoic chooses containment. Because the world rewards reaction, and the Stoic rewards discipline, and eventually people sense it, not as intimidation, not as performance, but as weight. The weight of someone who cannot be easily moved. The weight of someone who does not need permission to stand firm. The weight of someone who mastered himself long before anyone noticed. And that is why, even when he says nothing, even when he does nothing, even when he simply exists among others, a Stoic understands that the world often rewards noise over substance. People celebrate the loud, the flashy, the visible, and the urgent. Most follow what is praised, feared, or envied. The Stoic does not. He does not compete in these fleeting games. He focuses on what lasts: clarity, self-control, and quiet integrity. His influence grows imperceptibly but inevitably. The Stoic never confuses reaction with action. Movement is easy. Thoughtful response is rare. Here, in public, he does not speak because others speak. He does not act because others act. He considers, he measures, and then he moves. Deliberation is power. Impulse is weakness masquerading as energy. The Stoic never allows minor irritations to expand into a public drama. Someone cuts in line. A stranger misjudges him. A service fails to meet expectation. Most people erupt at these moments, but he does not. He understands the difference between inconvenience and catastrophe. Perspective is a shield. Restraint is a sword. The Stoic never seeks attention for virtue. Integrity does not need applause. Courage does not require witnesses. Patience does not crave recognition. All of these qualities are practiced for their own sake because the practice strengthens character. The world notices and eventually respects those who do not announce themselves. The Stoic never lets opinion dictate behavior. Approval is fleeting. Disapproval is inevitable. Matter. Acting to please others weakens self-mastery. The Stoic maintains his standards regardless of who is watching. By doing so, he becomes a subtle guide, a reference for those around him without lifting a finger. The Stoic never overvalues comfort in public life. He endures heat, cold, fatigue, hunger, noise, and distraction without letting them control him. Each moment of discomfort becomes training. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen focus. He does not seek comfort. He seeks mastery. The Stoic never allows pride to disguise itself as humility. False modesty is a trap, a subtle performance to manipulate perception. True humility comes from alignment with principle, not from managing impressions. He is neither boastful nor apologetic. He is grounded, complete, and aware. The Stoic never mistakes visibility for influence. Being seen does not equal being effective. Speaking loudly does not equal speaking wisely. Presence is cultivated in silence, restraint, and intention. Others sense it even when it is quiet. The Stoic never fears solitude in public. Most people cling to conversation, crowds, and constant social validation. The Stoic stands alone comfortably without anxiety. He observes, he reflects, he waits. Solitude sharpens awareness. Presence becomes undeniable. The Stoic never allows impatience with others to corrupt his character. When crowds push, when lines delay, when confusion spreads, he does not internalize it. He remains patient, steady, and deliberate. Calm becomes contagious, even without intent. The Stoic never forgets that character accumulates silently. A small choice to remain composed, repeated endlessly, outweighs loud gestures of virtue. What others see as effortless is the result of years of practice. He does not rush the process. He trusts it. The Stoic never sacrifices principle for comfort, approval, or recognition. Public spaces are filled with temptations to compromise, and most people do it unconsciously every day. He stands firm, even when alone, even when unnoticed, even when criticized. Discipline is his companion, integrity is his guide, and slowly, imperceptibly, his presence solidifies. People may not know why, but they sense it. They notice restraint where others lose control. They notice calm where others panic. They notice strength where others falter. And because strength of this kind cannot be faked, it commands quiet respect. Because in a world obsessed with reaction, the one who chooses reflection becomes rare. Because in a world addicted to display, the one who chooses restraint becomes magnetic. Because in a world where everyone broadcasts themselves, the one who masters himself becomes unforgettable. And this is why, in public spaces everywhere, people are always watching the Stoic, not because he demands attention, not because he performs, not because he seeks recognition, but the Stoic understands that most people carry invisible burdens in public, and they react as if the world owes them relief. Noise, impatience, distraction, judgment, these are everywhere. The Stoic notices these patterns without attachment. He does not absorb them. He does not imitate them. He observes calmly and moves forward with clarity. Presence is not imposed. It is maintained. The Stoic never lets frustration escape in public. A slight insult, a careless word, a moment of rudeness, these do not provoke him. Others may erupt and lash out, but he does not. He treats external events as neutral, allowing only his principles to guide response. His calm is intentional, not accidental. The Stoic never reacts to provocation immediately. He allows moments of tension to pass without contamination of judgment. By doing so, he gains power over the situation, over perception, and over himself. Reaction is cheap, deliberate response is rare, and rarity commands respect. The Stoic never allows admiration to soften his focus. Praise can tempt complacency, yet he remains vigilant. Public recognition is neither his fuel nor his validation. Discipline is his guide, not applause. He acts in accordance with principle, whether noticed or ignored. The Stoic never mistakes visibility for wisdom. Being seen in public does not mean understanding. Speaking often does not mean influence. The Stoic measures himself by depth of thought, consistency of action, and alignment with values. Others may notice or they may not, but his attention remains on mastery, not perception. The Stoic never allows inconvenience to become offense. Public life constantly challenges patience, delays, misunderstandings, incompetence, noise. The untrained mind interprets these as personal attacks. The Stoic observes them as reality and adapts. Each moment of irritation becomes practice in equanimity, an opportunity to refine character. The Stoic never allows crowds to dictate behavior. Popular opinion is volatile, unreliable, and often misinformed. He does not bend to follow approval or fear disapproval. He acts from principle, not popularity. Independence is not isolation. It is alignment. The Stoic never treats silence as emptiness. Quiet is often mistaken for lack of presence, but the Stoic knows its value. Listening fully, pausing deliberately, observing carefully, these are tools of influence. The one who dominates noise is often less powerful than the one who masters silence. The Stoic never confuses patience with passivity. Waiting, observing, restraining immediate reaction, these are acts of power. While others rush, complain, or overreact, he moves deliberately, allowing clarity and effectiveness to accumulate over time. The Stoic never allows fear to dictate posture or voice. Nervousness in public is contagious, but he controls it. Calm breath, steady movement, even tone, these communicate authority without effort. People notice composure more than words. The Stoic never underestimates small public choices. Standing up straight, listening attentively, responding thoughtfully, each act reinforces presence. Character is built in small increments, not dramatic gestures. Public moments are training grounds, not stages. The Stoic never reacts to superficial insult with visible emotion. He understands that most attacks reflect weakness in the attacker, not truth about him. Anger or defensiveness is a gift to others, not a necessity. Calm is contagious, reaction is fleeting. The Stoic never allows external chaos to enter his internal order. Public environments are unpredictable. Sounds, movements, distractions, social tension, but he maintains his center. Inner peace is deliberate, practiced, and unshakable. Others may lose control, but he does not, and slowly, imperceptibly, the Stoic's influence grows. People notice calm where others panic, steadiness where others stumble, dignity where others falter. Respect accrues quietly, without spectacle, without assertion, without announcement. Because while the world reacts, the Stoic responds. Because while the world performs, the Stoic observes. Because while the world chases approval, the Stoic secures mastery. And in this quiet accumulation of discipline, restraint, and clarity, the Stoic becomes impossible to ignore. People watch not because he demands it, not because he seeks it, but because self-mastery radiates naturally, invisibly, inevitably. The Stoic understands that public life exposes the weakness of expectation. Most people act as though the world owes them understanding, respect, or comfort. They assume that inconvenience is a personal slight and frustration is deserved. The Stoic does not. He moves through reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be. Every event, every interaction, every passing glance becomes material for observation and refinement. He does not complain. He does not panic. He simply adjusts. The Stoic never confuses haste with efficiency. In public, there is constant pressure to act quickly, to speak first, to dominate attention. Most succumb to the illusion that speed signals competence. The Stoic knows that clarity is slow, deliberate and careful. Thoughtful action outlasts impulsive gestures. People notice the calm hand that moves precisely, while the frantic gesture fades almost instantly. The Stoic never lets minor slights determine his mood. A careless remark, a dismissive glance, or the silent judgment of strangers carries no weight unless he grants it. His composure is protected intentionally. He understands that emotion surrendered to the public is energy wasted, influence lost, and character diluted. The Stoic never seeks to dominate social space through aggression. Loudness, interruption, and forceful gestures create temporary attention but invite tension and resentment. True authority is quiet, effortless, and unshakable. Others feel it before they can explain it. Presence is cultivated through consistency, restraint, and self-control. The Stoic never confuses exposure with vulnerability. Sharing personal struggle indiscriminately is not courage. It is a risk to character. The Stoic chooses carefully when, where, and with whom he reveals inner truth. Public life is not a theater for confession. It is a gymnasium for discipline. The Stoic never allows distraction to fragment attention. Phones, chatter, movement, and chaos surround him, but he is anchored. Every moment of awareness is an opportunity for mastery. Observing closely without reacting builds insight, influence, and composure simultaneously. The Stoic never confuses humility with weakness. Being unassuming does not make him small. Being restrained does not make him invisible. True humility is conscious strength. It is the recognition that power exists, but need not be displayed unnecessarily. The Stoic never allows approval to dictate effort. Praise is fleeting and criticism is inevitable. Neither moves him. He acts in accordance with principle consistently, whether rewarded or ignored. His character is not borrowed from applause. It is earned through repeated choice. The Stoic never mistakes stillness for inaction. To stand, to wait, to observe. These are deliberate acts of engagement. Quiet attention is often more potent than constant speech. Most people are lost in noise. He is grounded in purpose. The Stoic never lets public success inflate ego. Recognition may arrive, but it does not define him. Fame is transient. Mastery is enduring. While others celebrate attention, he cultivates discipline. While others perform identity, he lives it. The Stoic never confuses confidence with domination. Confidence does not shout, it does not force agreement, it does not push others aside. True confidence is calm, steady, and aligned with principle. Others sense it instinctively. It does not require proclamation. The Stoic never allows frustration to fester silently. He observes, reflects, and releases. Holding bitterness only corrodes character. Public composure is not denial, it is mastery. The world may provoke, annoy, or challenge, but his center remains untouched, and gradually, almost imperceptibly, the weight of his discipline manifests. People feel it. They may not understand it, they may not name it, but they notice. Respect grows silently around someone who does not demand it. Influence gathers without effort around someone who does not seek it, because while the world chases attention, the Stoic secures presence. Because while the world reacts impulsively, the Stoic responds deliberately. Because while the world performs, the Stoic practices mastery. And in this slow accumulation of composure, clarity, and unshakable self-command, the Stoic becomes impossible to ignore. People are always watching, not because he commands it, not because he seeks it, but because mastery radiates quietly, inevitably, irresistibly. The Stoic understands that public life constantly tests patience. People move slowly, rules fail, conversations meander, and distractions multiply. Most respond with irritation, complaining, or rushing. The Stoic does not. He moves deliberately, observing without judgment. Every delay is an opportunity to practice composure. Every inconvenience is a chance to strengthen discipline. What others call frustration, he calls training. The Stoic never allows gossip or idle talk to disturb him. Conversations about others are distractions, traps for ego, and temptations toward judgment. He listens carefully when necessary, speaks with intention, and ignores what does not serve understanding. Silence in the right moment carries more weight than endless commentary. The Stoic never seeks to control perception. Appearance, applause, admiration, and respect are outside his direct control. Trying to manipulate them wastes energy. He focuses instead on behavior, values, and principle. What others perceive is a reflection of their own minds, not a measure of his worth. The Stoic never confuses loudness with authority. Many raise their voice to be noticed, dominate space, or force agreement. The Stoic remains measured, calm, and deliberate. The quiet hand that acts intentionally carries more influence than the loud hand that reacts impulsively. People sense power in restraint. The Stoic never allows envy or comparison to guide behavior. In public, others may succeed, boast, or appear fortunate. Most people react with jealousy, anxiety, or imitation. The Stoic observes, but because even without announcing anything at all becomes unmistakable, becomes impossible to ignore. The one who guards himself stands unexposed, because reactions are cheap, because self-control is rare.